People often say money can buy anything, but on one stormy night, in a dusty corner of a small town, a poor mechanic proved that the most priceless gift of all is compassion. Sophia Bennett was no ordinary girl. She was the only daughter of Charles Bennett, a billionaire known for his sprawling companies, his jets, and his headlines. But behind the gates of their glass mansion, Sophia lived a life few could imagine, confined to a wheelchair after a tragic accident at 12 years old. Doctors from across the world had tried. Cutting-edge technology, world-class treatments, nothing worked. By the time she turned 19, Sophia had accepted that she would never walk again. But fate had other plans. The chance encounter. One evening, while her father's chauffeur drove her home, their luxury car broke down on a quiet road near the industrial part of town. The driver cursed under his breath, trying to call for help, but the rain cut the signals off. That's when a dimly lit workshop caught Sophia's attention. A small garage with a flickering neon sign, Sam's Auto Repairs. Inside, a man in his late 30s with grease-stained hands and a worn-out shirt looked up. His name was Sam Carter, a mechanic who lived paycheck to paycheck, barely earning enough to feed his 2 kids. The chauffeur scoffed at the thought of asking him for help, but Sophia insisted. Something about the man's eyes, tired yet kind, made her feel safe. Sam quickly got the engine running again, but just as they were leaving, Sophia noticed something in the corner of his workshop, a half-built electric wheelchair. "Who's that for?" she asked. Sam hesitated, then smiled. "My daughter Lily. She was born with a condition that makes walking difficult. I can't afford the fancy ones, so I'm building one from scratch." Sophia's eyes widened. For the first time in years, she didn't feel pity from someone. She felt understood. The unlikely friendship. Days later, Sophia returned secretly. She asked Sam if she could watch him work. Slowly, visits turned into conversations. She told him about her accident, how even billion-dollar treatments couldn't help her. Sam listened without judgment, never treating her like a fragile porcelain doll. One evening, when he saw her struggling with the weight of her wheelchair, Sam quietly said, "You know, maybe you don't need what doctors sell. Sometimes solutions come from unexpected places." Sophia laughed. "What do you mean? You think you can fix me like you fix cars?" Sam simply smiled. "Machines and people aren't that different. They both need care, patience, and someone who believes they can work again. The twist of kindness." Sam began designing a unique walking aid, something between an exoskeleton and a support frame, using nothing but scrap parts, wires, and old motors. He worked late into the night after fixing cars, often skipping meals to save money for extra pieces. When Sophia found out, she was speechless. This man, who had nothing, was pouring his everything into helping her. "Why are you doing this for me?" she asked one night, tears welling. Sam wiped his hands on his rag and looked her in the eyes. "Because one day, someone helped me when I had nothing. Kindness is the only thing worth passing on." The miracle moment. Weeks later, the device was ready. Sophia's father had no idea. She didn't want to raise his hopes. In Sam's tiny workshop with Lily cheering in the background, Sophia strapped herself into the machine. Her heart pounded. Sweat dripped from Sam's forehead as he tightened the last bolt. "Okay," he whispered. "Try." At first, nothing happened. Her legs trembled. Pain shot through her muscles. She almost gave up until she heard Lily's soft voice. "You can do it, Miss Sophia. Just one step." And then, like a miracle, her right foot moved forward, then the left. Tears streamed down her face as she stood upright for the first time in 7 years. She took 3 shaky steps and collapsed into Sam's arms, laughing and crying at the same time. For Sophia, it wasn't just walking. It was freedom. It was life. The revelation. When Charles Bennett finally discovered what had happened, he rushed to the workshop, furious at first. How could a billionaire's daughter risk her life with some backyard invention? But when he saw Sophia standing on her own 2 feet, smiling brighter than she ever had, his anger melted. For the first time in years, he hugged his daughter without bending down to her wheelchair. Tears glistened in his eyes as he turned to Sam. "I had all the money in the world," he whispered. "And I couldn't give her this, but you gave her back her life." Sophia's story spread faster than wildfire. News stations picked it up, calling it the miracle in the mechanic's garage. Strangers from across the world wrote letters, some sharing their own struggles, others simply thanking Sam for reminding them that kindness still existed. Sophia herself became an advocate, traveling with Sam and Lily to hospitals and schools, meeting children who thought they'd never walk, run, or even stand on their own. Each time she demonstrated the invention, the crowd held its breath until that first step, and then tears followed every single time. But what touched Sophia most wasn't the applause or the headlines. It was the look on a mother's face when she saw her child rise for the first time, or the way a father held his son's hand as he stumbled forward. Those moments reminded her of her own father's trembling embrace in Sam's workshop when love had spoken louder than wealth. Sam never grew used to the attention. He still wore the same old shirt, still worked in his garage when he could. Fame didn't change him because it was never about recognition. It was about Lily, and about giving others what she once needed most: a chance. One quiet evening as the sun dipped behind the town's rooftops, Sophia asked him, "Do you realize what you've done?" Sam looked puzzled. "Built some machines?" She shook her head gently. "No, you gave people back their dignity. You gave me back my life." Sam's eyes softened, and for the first time, he allowed himself to smile fully. Sophia walked a few steps ahead, then turned back, her voice steady, filled with a strength she thought she'd lost forever. "Kindness is the only miracle that multiplies when shared. You showed me that." And in that quiet moment, surrounded by nothing but the hum of a tired old street lamp and the smell of oil